In the news this week, why is it going ahead? The Cockburn Outer Harbour fight continues.
Phase 5 delayed to the 29th as Clive Palmer's High Court border challenge continues.
Experts weigh in over the increasing need for young people to enter council politics.
And on Western Perspective, a feature interview with Perth Lord Mayor candidate Mark Gibson and his pitch to young ratepayers.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Malone and Sarah Smith.
Good evening. The construction to the Outer Harbour has been labelled an environmental disaster, with the Fish Army continuing their fight against it. Back in 2006, the Environmental Protection Authority rejected multiple plans for the construction due to environmental impacts. Activists are asking why the new port is still going ahead. Taylor Hanna has the exclusive.
As the fight for the preservation of the Cockburn Sound continues, the Fish Army are calling to the government to rethink their decision.
Well, we're very disappointed that Mark McGowan is pushing forward with this outer harbour. He's done a great job with COVID of keeping the state safe, but he's making a fatal error in making Cockburn Sound, destroying the biggest nursery for pink snapper in the state.
Mike Pritchard, president of the Fish Army, said the government is pushing ahead with developments with data collected from the Westport Task Force, highlighting people will use 3 times the amount of cargo they are currently using.
We can see that one world event like COVID shuts things completely down. China's not producing, goods aren't coming. So for them to do that, to now use data that's flawed, because there's no way we're going to use 3 times the amount of goods.
The Fish Army questioned where the $6 billion to build the outer harbour will come from, and with the Fremantle Harbour being repurposed for apartment developments, many workers who rely on the docks will lose their jobs.
Mr Pritchard is expecting the announcement for the construction of the outer harbour this week. However, thousands of Fish Army members and anglers who frequent Cockburn Sound will continue their fight.
Well, my call to the government is stop the stupidity. Stop trying to ruin the biggest breeding area of pink snapper in Australia. It's more important to protect that and concentrate on the economic values in other areas than just blindly pushing through and manipulating data to push this through.
Meanwhile, Premier Mark McGowan announced $6 million to boost fish stocking, support for regional fishing tourism and constructing new artificial reefs. The restocking includes a boost of the pink snapper in Cockburn Sound. He says the port plans have gone through proper environmental processes.
Anything we did on the Outer Harbour would be fully in accord with proper environmental practices and receive environmental approval. But Cockburn Sound has been an industrial area for the best part of 80 years now. And snapper fishing and making sure that we have a breeding ground there has worked relatively well over that period of time, and will continue to restock Cockburn Sound in accordance with the best of fisheries and environmental advice.
Taylor Hanna, WAMN News.
As the second wave of coronavirus infections continue unabated in Victoria, WA has delayed loosening our own COVID restrictions. Meanwhile, Clive Palmer's High Court challenge continues.
In a blow to businesses, WA's looser Phase 5 restrictions have been delayed a further 2 weeks. Although WA only has few active cases of COVID-19, the grim situation in Victoria means the McGowan government is not willing to take any chances.
I know this may cause some frustration for some sections of the community and the business community, but we need to be extra cautious here. The nation is on high alert right now.
Interstate truckies will need to have returned a negative COVID test in the last 7 days or undergo testing within 48 hours of entering WA. Premier Mark McGowan continues to urge Clive Palmer to drop his High Court challenge to WA's hard borders, and meanwhile, Deputy Premier Roger Cook called on the federal government to support a retrial.
As I said, we're in a war with Clive Palmer, and it's a war we intend to win. And I'd urge him to back down, listen to the people of Western Australia, indeed Australia, and do the right thing.
As nominations for Perth City Council continue, will young people be well represented through the councillor and Lord Mayor candidates? Local Government Minister David Templeman hopes to see some diversity this year, with political experts agreeing that more young people in politics are needed. Helene Fung has the details.
As it becomes clearer that young people are not well represented in local, state or federal governments, it's important to encourage young people to step up to a career in politics. Local Government Minister David Templeman said that it would be wonderful to have young people put themselves forward, as they would make great contributions to their community and learn a lot from experienced councillors.
We know that there are some tremendous men and women of all ages, of all ethnic backgrounds, who already make great contributions to their community, but many of them don't put themselves forward to contest a council election, and I'd encourage them to do so.
Political expert Dr. Ian Cook said if young people don't represent themselves, they'd be voiceless.
There isn't much in the formal political sphere that really does, draw younger people in. It's not particularly exciting. It's not that engaging, and so it's not something that they're going to be wanting to go into until I think they realise how important it is and how necessary it is for younger voices to come out. Younger candidates will be able to speak to younger voters in a language that they understand, and not with that old politician voice.
Lord Mayor candidate Mark Gibson believes he is the ideal candidate for the City of Perth position, as he has engaged with many young business owners and people in the community. All of them support his vision for the city.
I think I relate really well to young people. I'm still very young at heart, even though I'm in my late 40s now. I think I've got a lot to offer, and I think young people should jump on board. So I'm all about removing the impediments, making life easier for business people to do what they do, and then making the city more attractive for people to come in and use it again.
You can watch Mark Gibson's full interview on Western Perspective later in the bulletin. Helene Fong, WAMN News.
The Live Lighter Multicultural E-Carnival Festival went ahead this weekend after the first round of events in June was cancelled due to COVID-19 restrictions. There were strong turnouts as members of the community attended the festival, which featured a wide range of performances such as pipe bands, New Zealand haka dance, Chinese lion dance, Indonesian cultural performances and Japanese stage dramas. The event organiser, Australian Arab Association, provided free face masks, hand sanitisers and volunteers were there to ensure social distancing. They said a maximum of 2,000 people were allowed in order to comply with COVID-19 restrictions.
I would like to thank everyone came to this event today, and I hope next event will be COVID-free Australia, and we do it on a larger scale.
In just over a year, terminally ill children and their families will have a new place to go for end-of-life support, specialist care and relaxation. Health Minister Roger Cook has announced that WA's first children's palliative care hospice will be located less than 1 kilometre from Swanbourne Beach. The project will begin construction early in the new year and should be available to sick kids and their families by 2022.
The healing and the sense of belonging and safety that they will feel in this facility with the wind and the salt on their faces.
Can't underestimate how hard our families work to look after their children. It's a real privilege to meet families that show such compassion and care. But at times they too need a rest.
WA police have charged 2 people and seized 11 firearms after raiding 2 properties this week. Detectives searched the Wangara warehouse, seizing 10 firearms and a Medley property, finding a double-barrel shotgun, pepper spray, methamphetamine and $35,000. A 28-year-old Marangaroo man faces firearm and drugs offences. He was refused bail and will face court again on the 15th of August. Meanwhile, a 27-year-old Medley woman was charged with guns, drugs and stolen property possession. Her next court appearance will be on the 31st of August.
At least 100 people have been killed and more than 4,000 injured following a massive blast at the port of Beirut in Lebanon. Authorities expected the death toll to rise as the search for survivors and cleanup continues in the area. Shockwaves of the explosion could be felt in the Mediterranean island of Cyprus, about 160 kilometres away. 10 firefighters who were fighting the blaze are still missing, and the city's governor has described the blast as a national catastrophe. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has issued executive orders that would ban Chinese social media apps TikTok and WeChat from operating in the US. The Chinese parent companies of the apps have 45 days to sell them. The order claims the apps are used to disseminate the Chinese Communist Party's authoritarian propaganda. This comes after fears that the apps would give the Communist Party access to data gathered from Americans.
This month, innovation is coming to life through the internet for the National Science Week. Kids and adults alike will be able to learn about the exciting world of science, technology, engineering and maths. Since going digital for COVID-19, Vanessa says it's easier than ever to connect with people from every corner of the country. In WA, local STEM innovation will take a deep dive into the ocean for the flagship event Deep Blue, where participants can take on oceanic challenges for a chance to win amazing prizes.
Because we are online now and we are doing these webinars, anyone from anywhere can access. Only the other day we had a teacher from the Pilbara asking questions, so that was really amazing to see.
You can check more information on the website inspiringwa.org.au/National Science Week. That's our weekly news and current affairs. For news anytime, you can go to our website and social media pages.
See you next weekend and good night.
Wish you good health and take care.